We have lots of broad market and specific Tesla stock breaking news to get into, and let's start with what Elon Musk just said. I should also point out at the time of recording this video, Tesla stock is in the green today, so if you've watched a couple of the last videos, you kind of know what's going on now with Elon's potential compensation package that will be coming in 2024. Lots of discussion around whether this is good or bad for Tesla stock investors, and I think Tesla stock today is telling you that would be very good news to see Elon get a large compensation package. Today is only the second day out of 12 trading days that Tesla stock has been green. And it's not exactly like the broader markets are doing that well. The S&P 500 is down about 0.5%, and the VIX is spiking over 7% today. Elon Musk does provide us some clarity to why we don't have a compensation package yet. Elon says, I should note that the Tesla board is great. That's also some good news. You don't want the board beefing out, if you will, for a lack of a better word, with the CEO and the board going back and forth. That's never going to be a good thing for investors. He says, the reason for no new compensation plan, in quotes, is that we are still waiting for a decision in my Delaware compensation case. The trial for that was held in 2022, but a verdict has yet to been made. I put compensation plan in quotes because from my standpoint, this is primarily about ensuring the right amount of voting influence at Tesla. If I have 25%, it means I am influential, but can be overridden if twice as many shareholders vote against me versus for me. At 15% or lower, the for/against ratio to override me makes a takeover by dubious interest too easy. I would be fine with a dual class voting structure to achieve this, but am told it is impossible to achieve post-IPO in Delaware. So really, Elon doesn't have a problem with the board. The board and Elon are getting along just fine. That's great news. And this makes a lot of sense if Elon does own 25% of the voting power. Then Elon would be able to go all in on what is going to be the future with AI and robotics without that fear or pressure of one day someone else wants to swoop in and change things or derail Elon or potentially throw him out of the company altogether. I don't think that is a risk Elon is willing to take, which I think that's understandable for everyone watching this video. You're not going to develop a brand new product and then let someone have the chance of taking it from you. No, nobody would do that. So I wouldn't expect anything less from Elon. And also, it's worth noting, in a capitalistic world, you have to pay people, right? No matter what their net worth is. If you want them to work for you, you have to pay them. A large compensation package with high tiers, like Elon is rewarded $100 billion if Tesla reaches $5 trillion. That's great news for you as an investor, and I think Tesla stock being green today is showing us just that. Rohan Patel on X says he had a back and forth on Friday night with Elon Musk about a large AI data center investment he decided to approve, which he has been tracking closely for many months. Hard to imagine a CEO more involved in the most important details of their company than Elon. And it does appear as if we don't have any clarity on what that data center news is. The last time we had data center news was for Dojo, and it was a first of its kind data center that was being built. This was back in August of 2023. So we don't have any specific details on this, but should be learning something pretty soon. And take a look at this FUD headline today from Bloomberg. It says Chicago area Tesla charging stations lined with dead cars in freezing cold. Quote, a bunch of dead robots out here. But take a look at this. Norway rescue service company Vikings Assistance Group says electric cars perform better in cold temperatures than ICE cars. Quote, in 2024, so far, most Viking missions related to vehicles with battery problems or drivers having trouble starting their cars. Setrum noted that 13% of starting difficulties are linked to electric cars, while 87% are from fossil fuel vehicles. He added that 23% of the cars on Norwegian roads are EVs. So you have less EVs out there than internal combustion engines, and a fraction of the problems in Norway regarding temperatures and starting of vehicles has to do with EVs. And let me tell you, Norway gets a lot colder than what we are experiencing here in the US on a very regular basis. I think this is just another example of how much mainstream media hates Elon and Tesla. Sawyer Merritt posted this, that a follower of his converted his Cybertruck Foundation Series Cybertruck order to an all-wheel drive Foundation Series order today. A few hours later, he got a VIN assigned, and he gave him permission to share this. It looks like potentially Tesla has already manufactured around 680, probably by the time of recording this video, over 700 Cybertrucks. Considering the Cybertruck launched a little bit over a month ago, that's pretty dang good. GM is reportedly canceling Ultra Cruise, the automaker's next-gen semi-autonomous driver assistance system, and refocusing on the less capable Super Cruise. This is again more good news for Tesla's FSD. Mazda has just announced they will adopt Tesla's North American charging standards starting in 2025. Customers will have access to 15,000 Tesla superchargers in North America by 2025. Mercedes-Benz also says they are not sure if solid-state batteries are really worth it. And here are the top 10 best-selling EVs of 2023 in the United States. The Tesla Model Y #1 selling 394,000 units, the Tesla Model 3 selling about 221,000 units, and then the EV Chevy Bolt sold about 62,000 units in 2023. Gary Black posted this. According to Grok, Elon currently owns 13.4% of Tesla shares and owns vested options that could allow him to buy another 8.6% of Tesla shares at an average strike price of $6.24 a share. This would bring his Tesla ownership to 22%. This is what I've been saying. He owns a little over 13% already in Tesla stock, but has the option to purchase another 300 million shares, which is almost, well, 100 million shy of what he currently owns, of 400 million, to dramatically increase his ownership. So when we're talking about a 25% voting power, right, for Elon, that's what he wants in the next compensation package, that's not going to be all too hard to achieve. Gary Black also says if the Tesla board packaged together a path for Elon to get to 25% voting control with a multi-year buyback plan, it would be a win-win for Elon and Tesla shareholders. It's also worth pointing out that a new compensation package would ensure that, one, Elon is all in and focused on Tesla and keeping AI and robotics within Tesla itself, but it also ensures that Elon's probably going to be with Tesla for a longer period of time. Let's be honest. If Elon walked away today and started his own company, the best of the best talent at Tesla is likely to follow Elon. You're just going to make more money, right? If Elon were to start his own company to get funding or fund it himself, ultimately go public, you would want to be in that company over Tesla right now. Selling your stock in Tesla, if you are, chief engineer or something, and going with Elon to start a new company, would probably make a whole lot more sense. And that would be a big risk to Tesla stock investors today. Tesla option activity today is pretty positive as well. You are seeing 571 hedge fund institutional trades worth $133 million and a positive order value of 57%. On the volume side, things are a little more split down the middle. Calls 55.05% of the total volume, and puts at about 45% of total volume today. Now, we did get some really bad news today, and I want to highlight this a little bit more in the next video, but I want to share this with you guys in this video as well. New York Empire State Manufacturing Index was expected to come out at -5. It actually came out at -43.7. You have never seen a reading this low besides the Rona crash, when basically all manufacturing stopped at the same time. You're now lower than you were during the 08-09 Great Financial Crisis. You've never been under 40, besides briefly again during 2020. So this is another reason why stocks largely are probably selling off today. You also heard from Fed Waller at 11 o'clock in the morning today, and he had some mixed things to say. Fed Waller, which is typically seen as one of the more dovish Fed officials, said once the Fed decides to cut, we can take our time with the pace. Then he says the setting of policy needs to proceed with more caution to avoid over-tightening. So right there, he said one thing that sounded kind of on the hawkish side, like they're not going to cut rates nearly as many times as the markets are currently pricing in. Then he says we have to be careful not to over tighten. Then Fed Waller says financial conditions remain restrictive. Then he says the view is consistent with Fed policymaker predictions for 325 basis point rate cuts in 2024. So all of your Fed officials you have heard either have said 2 or 3 rate cuts. That's it for 2024. For the entirety of last week, you were pricing in 7 rate cuts. Now today, you're back to pricing in 6 rate cuts. Current odds at 37.8% for 6 rate cuts in 2024. The odds of 7 rate cuts just behind at 32.1%. The odds of 5 rate cuts at 18.3%. This 6 rate cuts, 7 rate cuts borderline is a big risk heading into January 31st, because if we're not pricing in, 4, maybe 5 rate cuts by then, Jerome Powell is going to make it very clear they're not going to cut rates 7, 6 times, 8 times, whatever the markets are pricing in at that time, unless the economy is going through some serious weakness. Tomorrow, we will get retail sales data month over month for the month of December. We'll go over my expectations and what the market's expectations are in the video coming out at 8:30 p.m. tonight. But if this comes in really bad, it could be a really bad indicator for spending and for economic activity right now. Fun fact, a lot of people don't know, 70 to 73% of the economy is based on people spending money, consumers buying products and services. If retail spending slows down, retail sales, that's not going to be good for our markets. You would price in more rate cuts, but you'd be pricing in those rate cuts at a cost, because then your odds of a recession would be going higher. Back to more of your Tesla stock news today, and this might be helping Tesla as well. It is the Chinese insurance registration. So for the second week of 2024, you've seen 7,400 registrations. The second week of 2022, you had 7,189. And the second week of 2023, you had 12,654. So this is higher than 2022, lower than 2023, but this is not bad. This is better news than not, just considering China is the major exporter for Tesla. So if you're registering 7,400 units last week in China, then that export number should be pretty good as well, potentially making up the difference of what we're losing with Giga Berlin over the next couple of weeks, as Giga Berlin will be shut down. So I think this, all in all, was again a net positive for Tesla stock as well today, because this number could have been a lot worse. Roland Percher shares with us the mix of last week's insurance registrations in China. It looks like about 1,700 out of the 7,400 were Model 3, and about 5,700 were Model Y. Tesla China just cut prices about 6% for the Model 3 and only about 2.8% for the Model Y. So the more Model Y deliveries that we see, the better, hopefully, margins will be for Q1. So we definitely want to be watching the mix a little bit closer for the next couple of months. Here you can see as well, Elon Musk reposted this video from Mr. Beast. He says, first, Mr. Beast video posted directly on X, and Mr. Beast wants to see how the ad revenue compares to YouTube, and that's why he posted this video. If you start to see more posting on X, well, that could ultimately be good for X, which is good for Tesla. Remember, if things go bad at X, Elon's going to sell Tesla stock. And the last time Elon sold Tesla stock, Tesla was down like 75% from all-time highs. So you definitely don't want X doing poorly. Good news is it looks like X is doing just fine, and there's more engagement than ever on the platform. Tesla Club India on X is reporting that India seals lithium exploration pact with Argentina. Under the deal, Kabul will undertake the exploration and development of 5 lithium brine blocks spanning about 1,600 hectares. I don't know why I can never say that word, so bear with me. In Argentina's Catamarca province, India's state-owned firm, Kanji Badash India Ltd, sealed a lithium exploration agreement worth 2 billion rupees, about $24 million, with an Argentinian state-run enterprise on Monday. The virtual signing ceremony marked the first ever first ever lithium exploration and mining venture by an Indian government company. No matter who brings lithium to market, that's going to be a good thing because it takes like 5 to 7 years to bring a lithium mine actually to scale and start mining. So the mines that we're seeing today are going to fund the future. Dan Ives says, at the end of the day, we believe the board and Musk will be able to resolve this 25% issue over the next 3 to 6 months, and ultimately all AI initiatives will be kept within Tesla. This dynamic will cause some noise, but it's a process we expect Musk and the board to manage for shareholders. It seems like Dan Ives is also in the camp of this will ultimately be a big positive for Tesla stock. Google Trends data for the entire Tesla lineup continues to fall here on the day today. Global inventory numbers for the S, X, and Model 3 continue to trend lower, and the Model Y took a bit of a move lower, about 300, 400 vehicles or so, starting to trend back up again. But this is probably just showing Model Y production is vastly outpacing all of the other production of other models. Tesla continues to run about 400 different ads with Google. The percentage of stocks today above their 50-day moving average is also plummeting, down about 9.5%, down to 64%. This puts you back to the time period from really the end of May through July. So you're no longer very elevated as far as the average stock. The average stock is, well, starting to get below its 50-day moving average yet again. The VIX today is up about 7.5%. Our VIX calls are printing nicely. Apple as well, down about 2% today, almost. So the Apple puts also doing well today too. So if you guys want to come join the trading community, get access to all of the trades that we are making, check that out, link down below in the description of this video. Oil is down about 1% today. The dollar is up about 1% as well, which also makes sense to why stocks are falling. The dollar and stocks the last 2 years now have been inversing each other. If the dollar goes up, then stocks fall. If the dollar falls, then stocks rise. That's just how it works. Fundamentally, if you're a multinational company like a Tesla taking in foreign currencies, the higher the dollar goes on this chart, the less dollars you get back for your foreign currencies. So that's the best way to think about it. Higher the dollar, the worse it is for multinationals. The lower the dollar, the better it is for multinationals. No surprise why 2021 and the end of 2020 was such a great market. The dollar kept falling. It's no surprise why 2022 was such a terrible year for equities, because the dollar went up and just continued to go higher as the Fed was raising rates. And it's no surprise why 2023 was a relatively good year if you were in Magnificent Seven stocks, because the dollar did come down and kind of just trend sideways for a period of time. Here you can see the July rally where the dollar was falling and hit a new low in July. Then you could see the 10.5% pullback we've seen in the markets was basically the dollar stair-stepping up about 8% or so, about almost exactly 8%. That was a good eyeball there. And now the dollar has been falling. Stocks did well again. Now the dollar's starting to rise and stocks are starting to do poorly again. That's just how this thing works. Gold is also down about 1% today, which I do think is fantastic news. Total options volume for Tesla stock today is 1.48 million. The open interest for all of the strikes and expirations for Tesla is about 7.14 million. So there's a lot of option activity today in Tesla stock. Some of the most notable ones would be the 220 calls and the 210 puts. The 220 calls have 115,000 for open interest today, and the 210 put has about 115,000 for volume as well. And then you do have the 225 call that has about 95,000 for volume today. And then pretty much on the call side, you're winning beyond that. But definitely a lot of activity between the 220 call and the 210 put. This bounce was to be expected, in my personal opinion. If you go back and watch the last video I put out, I said in that video that we would probably get a bounce early week for Tesla. You may get back to about 225. That was my estimate, into the mid 20s, before ultimately by the end of the week, probably ending around 220, 219, 218, kind of where we started the week. The RSI now today for Tesla is at 33.40, still very much on the oversold side, but this is a much needed bounce for Tesla, bringing a lot more confidence back into the stock. It looks like we're going to find some resistance around 225, potentially support around 210. I'm really not expecting to break under 210 this week or to break out above 225 this week, but a lot of that will depend on how retail sales come out tomorrow and specific implications for the economy going ahead in 2024. Tesla stock, to conclude this video, is at $220 per share exactly, and is up about 0.5% today. Let me know what you guys think about this information down below in the comment section. Are you buying Tesla right now? Are you holding Tesla? Are you selling Tesla? I've heard a lot of people thinking about selling Tesla now, waiting for the stock to fall and buying back in. Unfortunately, my personal opinion, the time to do that would have been 260, 270, where we were just at in late December. Not right now. Personally, that's not a strategy I employ, but you would definitely want to wait for a bounce if that is your kind of strategy. You don't want to be selling Tesla stock with an RSI of 33. It's vulnerable to move big to the upside on very small good news, kind of like what we're seeing today for Tesla stock. So let me know that information down below in the comment section. Again, if you guys want to come trade with us, check out that link down below in the description of this video as well. Check out the video coming out at 8:30 p.m. tonight as well. We are going to be going over some fascinating charts, trying to break down our markets and what is going on today. We'll talk about New York Empire State Manufacturing and the massive miss we had. That was a big problem. And again, go over expectations for tomorrow with Tesla stock in regards to retail sales. Thank you for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day. My name is Michael Tyler, and I will see you in the next one.